The Show Must Go On by Katherine Reilly. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you to tonight's performance, Beauty and the Beast. Please turn off your cell phones and we hope you enjoy the play, said Melanie, who addressed her audience. Melanie, are you out of bed again? Young lady, you know you should be resting, don't you? Asked the nurse. I was about to start another play. My audience is waiting to see me perform, Melanie replied. Well, if you get enough rest and you're feeling better, we might arrange something, the nurse said as she kindly smiled and helped Melanie get into bed. You mean you'll let me perform for the entire hospital staff? Melanie asked enthusiastically. Why not? Just make sure you get your strength back, noted the nurse. Sweet dreams, Melanie, wished the nurse. Nighty-night, Nurse Annie, answered Melanie, who was gazing out the window. One day I'll become an actor and all my friends and family will come and see me perform on stage, she continued as she slowly fell asleep. The following morning, Melanie sprang out of bed to tell her friend the good news. I'm going to perform in front of a live audience. This is amazing. I have to tell Joe all about it, exclaimed Melanie as she discreetly left her room in a hurry. Good morning, Joe. Did you sleep well? Yelled Melanie, startling her friend who was resting in bed. Good morning, Melanie. You know you shouldn't be here. The nurses will be looking for you, her friend Joe noted. Oh, come on. Don't be a worrywart. You have to try and have some fun once in a while, smiled Melanie as she stood next to his bed. All right, Joe sighed. What would you like to do today? He asked. Have you ever seen the Pirates of the Caribbean? She asked as she placed a paper hat on his head. So, I'm supposed to be a pirate? Joe asked. Exactly. I'll play the beautiful princess who is trying to escape, Melanie proposed. Arr, uttered Joe, who played the role of the pirate. Someone save me from this dreadful pirate. Where is my Prince Charming? Melanie recited. I think you're performing a bit loudly, noted Joe. Why do you say that? Asked Melanie. Because the nurse heard you, he calmly explained. For the millionth time, Melanie, you have to stay in bed and rest, the nurse explained to her, who was obviously frustrated. But I feel fine. It's so boring lying all day in bed. Why can't I go outside and play? She pleaded her. We don't want you to catch a cold or tire yourself. Why don't you play with your animal friends? Her nurse asked. They're bored too, Melanie exclaimed. I'll go get your medicine. You stay right here. I'll be back in a moment, the nurse instructed her. All right, guys, the coast is clear. It's Operation The Great Escape. You three cover our backs while Monkey and I escape, Melanie ordered as she prepared to leave her room. Melanie and her faithful monkey were making their way through enemy territory. They had to free their friend Joe and escape together, Melanie narrated, as if she were starring in an action film. Hey, Joe, whispered Melanie as she peeked through the door. Melanie? What are you doing here again? Asked Joe. I've come to spring you out of here, Melanie explained. Oh dear, I guess I should play along, sighed Joe. Quick, untie me. The enemy will be here any minute now, he exclaimed. The coast is clear, partner. Monkey and I will be on the lookout until you escape, Melanie urged him. All right, partner. By the way, I like your hair color today, Joe noted. Thanks. Now get going before they see you, Melanie replied. Mission complete, Corporal. Now let's get back to base, Melanie commanded as they made their way to her room. A few moments later, Melanie's nurse entered the room. Here you go, dear. This one tastes like strawberry, she said as she handed Melanie her medicine. I hate strawberry, Melanie replied in disgust as she drank it. I have some good news for you, said the nurse as she smiled to Melanie. Is it about my performance for the hospital? Melanie cautiously asked. Yes, it is. The doctor said that if you are feeling better, we can help you put on a show for us. How about this Saturday? The nurse asked. Yes, that would be great. I'm so excited. Will I get to be under a spotlight? How about my outfit? Are we sending invitations? Oh, I want you to save a front row seat for Joe. He'll want to see me act. He's my biggest fan, Melanie enthusiastically said as she hugged her friends with all her might. The following day, Melanie made her way to Joe's room to share the good news. I've written invitations for everyone in the hospital. Nurse Annie helped me hand them out, Melanie explained to her friend Monkey. We're going to give Joe his invitation in person. I can't wait to see the look on his face when I tell him that his ticket is for a front row seat, Melanie proudly stated. Upon entering Joe's room, no one was to be found. The room was empty and dark as Melanie whispered her friend's name. Joe? Melanie cautiously approached his bed as the silence in the room made her feel uncomfortable. I hope he gets back soon. I'll leave the invitation on his pillow and tell the nurses not to touch it, Melanie thought to herself. Nurse Annie, I couldn't find Joe. Could you please tell him that I left an invitation on his bed? My performance is tomorrow and he's got a front row seat, explained Melanie as the nurse listened in silence. Come on, Monkey. We have to rehearse for the play. It's tomorrow and I haven't even chosen my outfit yet, said Melanie as she quickly made her way to her room. The day Melanie dreamed of had finally come as she amazed her audience. All the doctors and nurses were present as they applauded the young actor for her incredible performance. Melanie, though, was concerned as her dear friend hadn't come to see her. I hope he's okay, she thought to herself as the hospital staff was cleaning the stage around her. Melanie, you seem a bit tired. Why don't you go to your room and rest? Nurse Annie kindly advised her. I think I will, Melanie answered, who at that point seemed exhausted. I feel so lonely, Melanie told herself. Why is it so dark and cold? She wondered as she slowly made her way to her room. Melanie got into bed and soon fell asleep. It was in her dreams that she found comfort and lived the life she had always dreamed of. In her dreams, Melanie would celebrate many birthdays with family and friends. She would graduate from high school, travel the world, become a famous actor, fall in love, and have a family of her own. Melanie, oh Melanie, called a familiar voice. Who is it? Asked Melanie, blinded by the intense light before her. Hey, partner, I didn't know you were a brunette, the voice replied. Joe, is that you? Asked Melanie in relief. It's me. I'm sorry I couldn't come to your play, Joe apologized. Don't worry about it. I'm just happy you're here now, answered Melanie, who was overwhelmed with joy at the sight of her friend. Come on now, it's time to go, Joe spoke softly. Where are we going? Melanie curiously asked. Melanie, you of all people know that the show must go on, Joe replied, as the two friends made their way through the door.